Yo, what's the dealio, man? Listen, you already know I got a straight banger for you today, all right? So check this out, y'all. Check this out. We have to talk about Amazon, AWS, and what happened this morning, right? I have a lot of important information to give to you because I want to make sure that you understand how to navigate this stuff and exactly what's going on. All right. So if you guys are just tuning in, be sure to like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel, man. Hey, shout out to everybody that's been subscribing. It was a good weekend for YouTube, right? A lot of people came in, subscribed to the channel. So I appreciate everybody tapping in, and we gonna get into it. So what is Amazon AWS? First things first, all right? AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. Basically, it's a subsidiary of Amazon, right? It's a subsidiary of Amazon. So when you guys understand what a subsidiary is, it means Amazon owns AWS, right? Now, what is AWS? They're in the cloud, right? So they have cloud infrastructure and they support businesses to use that cloud and that server, right? So that server is what companies are using to have access to, and then the things that are being stored, right, or saved is being saved in that cloud. Okay? So this morning, I'm thinking I'm about to smack the market, right? Got all of my levels charted out. I got the whole game plan ready, right? And then I was getting ready to play Shopify. Shopify broke my level, just like I thought. Getting ready to enter. And I'm like, volume is low, things are glitchy, right? My Weeble desktop is kind of acting a little funny. I'm like, dang, everybody inside of the Discord is asking what's going on too. Come to find out, it has an outage and it crashed, right? At 3 a.m. Eastern. So this is what happened. So now what does that leave us? I want you guys to start thinking about these things, okay? What are the odds that the market sold off for the past 2 weeks, okay? Or had a lot of bearish momentum for the past 2 weeks. And then on Friday we sold off. On Monday we gap up, right? On Monday we gap up. And then all trading platforms are down, right? Interactive brokers, TradeStation, Weeble. I use Weeble, and Robinhood for the small account. Robinhood, right? They're all using AWS. Not to mention Slack, right? All the biggest companies use AWS, right? They use AWS. 90% of Fortune 100 companies use AWS. So all of their communication platforms are down. All of the brokerage accounts are down. So I can't even take a trade, right? If I do, some people was getting stuck in trades, right? Some people couldn't get out and profit. It was chaos. And so looking at the charts, I'm like, okay, why is Amazon not going down, right? Because usually when things like this happen and there's news, that stock plummets, okay? We all know that the market is manipulated at this point. We all know that. So it's all a game anyway. But me personally, I think that maybe tomorrow might be a bearish day that people don't even see coming, right? Because here's what usually happens. When you have things like this that happen, there's a reason. There is a reason. Now, this is also why it's important to understand two things. When it's time to focus on day trades, and when it's also time to focus on cash, right? Holding your cash as a position, right? It's easy to be like, you know what? I need my money growing for me. Let me go get in this swing trade right here. You go get into the swing trade, and then what happens? You get demolished, right? Now you wishing that, damn, I should have just not even gotten to the trade. How many times has that happened to you? So there's a level of maturity that you have to have when you are trading. Because when you understand what's happening big picture, You could be like, you know what? I'm gonna just chill. I didn't take any trades today. No day trades for me. You know why? Because I saw what was going on, right? Now, let's go to the charts real quick, and I want to show you guys a couple things, all right? I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time. I really wanted to focus on you guys understanding what happened with Amazon, okay? And why everything was out. And I also want you to understand that you don't have to take a trade every day, all right? You don't have to take a trade every day. When stuff like this happens, it's important for you to understand, like, maybe this is a sign for me. That's what I'd say. I said, maybe it's a sign, right? I didn't even take a trade in the afternoon. I tried, but then I didn't even get, it didn't even get filled, right? So watch this, okay? I want you guys to watch this now. So let's go to the charts, okay? Right here. Now we got the SPY right here. Now the SPY ain't fooling me, right? We broke above 667, this order block area right here. This is resistance, right? We came up here, okay? So we got this 673 level that we could come up to, but let's look at the daily time frame. What do we have right here? We got a big gap right here, okay? And we're sitting in this order block right here, all right? So what could happen is tomorrow we could open up maybe a little bit higher, or we could open up a little lower, and then we could reject and we could come down and fill this gap right here. And this is why I said they not fooling me, right? Because this could be a bull trap, right? Because look, we sold off here, we came up, and then boom, right? Came up here. But we're inside of this order block. So we could come and test all-time highs, or we could just say, you know what? We about to reject and we got to fill this gap right here. So we do have a gap to fill right here to the downside between 667 and 665. All right. We do have a gap to fill down there. And when you look at the whole market, y'all. IWM, same thing, gapped up. Shopify, same thing, it gapped up. Not a big gap there. Google, right, gapped up slightly. Hims consolidated all day. It's getting ready to go down lower, right? Palantir, it gapped up, right? And then it came back down to fill that gap, but the SPY did not fill the gap, right? And neither did IWM, okay? It did not fill the gap yet. So when you have a stock and it hasn't filled a gap, but we're not like blasting off crazy, that's a sign that it could be coming to fill the gap. And what they could have done is they could have said, we want the week to start off bullish. We want to trap people, and then we want to take their money, right? And then we may end up going higher at the end of the week, but I do think that at some point in time this week, we are going to fill that gap, right? But right here on the daily time frame, let's go back to SPY real quick, all right? If we go back to SPY real quick, okay, it doesn't look like a reversal, right? It doesn't look like a reversal because it does look bullish. But because we're in this order block and the market is about to close in 20 minutes, what could happen is could be some news that come out, right? We could get a residual effect of all of this AWS stuff that could come into place, and then we could come right back down here to fill this gap, right? So, and then we could come lower, but I think that we could come down and fill this gap, and then we could bounce and go higher, right? But just because there's no sign of a reversal on the daily time frame does not mean that it's not going to reverse, right? If we come down to a smaller time frame, let's look at this right here, right? Let's look at this right here. We got this order block up here, all-time highs, but look, it came up and now it's starting to stall out, right? Buyers are getting exhausted, especially after all day today, right? SPY came up and it opened at, let's see where the SPY opened at today. It opened at 667. and it just came up all day, had a slight pullback, and then went up some more, right? All these green boxes right here are fair value gaps. So the SPY could come down here. It's already basically there. Could come down here, 670. It could come down here to 669, and it could also come down here to 668. And then we also have a gap all the way down to 665, right? So even though we were bullish, we may retrace tomorrow and come down all the way down here, right? Pre-market, scare everybody, and then it could go up, higher. I've seen that happen. But I want you guys to focus on the focus. And what is the focus? You always want to think about both sides of the market, okay? We have the upside and we have the downside, right? When things are at the downside, you want to be thinking about, okay, how much further down can we be going? When could we be going up, and where could we be going to? When things come up, right? When things come up, you want to be asking yourself, where did we just come from? Because sometimes you may see a bullish day and think that we going higher, but you don't see the two different gaps that we got to the downside. You don't see the looming things about the economy. You're not thinking about that because you're so excited about seeing green. And I always say, do not enter into calls when you only see green. If you're too excited entering into a trade, you're probably about to get cooked. And the reason why is because the market preys on emotions. The market preys on emotions. So some days you got to have that cash position. Some days don't take a trade. It's okay to not take a trade, because if you don't take a trade and you don't lose any money, and then the next day you take a trade and you make 3x what you was gonna make the day before, you won. You won. It is a win. But if you feel like you have to trade every single day, there's gonna be days where you get absolutely obliterated or cooked, right? So I just wanted to say that, right? I want you guys to understand what's going on with Amazon. I want you guys to understand what's going on in the market. A lot of games are always played. You got to understand that you're playing a chess match. You're going up against, I say this all the time, some of the smartest people in the world. And also you're going against algorithms. You got to start to think from a contrarian type of perspective, right? This whole bad thing happened with AWS. Why is the whole market green? Something ain't adding up for me. And that's why I'm looking at the downside and saying, okay, where can stocks go? Is a SPY the only one with a gap? Did those other gaps get filled or not? Like, you got to really start asking yourself all the small things. All right. So with that being said, y'all, I hope that helped you guys out. Later on tonight, don't forget, I'm going to be doing a charting session. I'm going to go live probably around 5:30 or 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Just turn on the notifications and we're going to get to it. All right. And we going to go through all of this stuff, all of these levels for SPY, IWM, and whatever else I'm looking at for tomorrow. All right. So like I always say, make sure you get up out your head, go get into this world, because your head is a dangerous place to live. All right. And also remember, y'all, the more you study, the less you worry. All right. Y'all stay smooth, man. I appreciate you tuning in. Be smooth. Peace.